Hello again, everyone. I am Lucas Berry, and you're watching Train Time on the New River Network. We're back with our first episode of pretty much all new material. We did sneak a new shot into the last episode, but we're back with a whole new chase of one of CSX's heritage units. And we've seen this engine before, but you'll never hear me complaining. It's 1897, honoring the Monon Railroad. The Monon is one of my favorite railroads. I love how homespun this road is. They called it the Hoosier Line because every mile of track it owned was located within the state of Indiana. It used trackage rights to get into Louisville and Chicago, and in fact, for the longest time, its corporate name was the Chicago, Indianapolis, and Louisville Railroad. But in 1956, after the road emerged from receivership, it changed its name officially to the Monon Railroad, adopting a nickname that had been going way back. The word Monon is a Potawatomi Indian tribe word meaning swift running water, although the railroad translated it just as swift running. And that is the name for the little village of Bradford, Indiana, that changed its name to Monon, where the two main lines of the Monon, one to Indianapolis and one down to Louisville, intersected. And then there's also a line in Michigan City, Indiana, that joined there as well. That was really the epicenter of Monon's universe, the little town of Monon, Indiana. And like I said, I love the Monon. I love how homespun this railroad is, and every time it comes through here, I want to film it, because it's not every day you see those colors. You know, I guess now, let's see, the railroad was disbanded into the L&N in 1971, so now that's 55 years ago that the L&N absorbed the Monon. Monon died into corporate history. So to see those colors over 50 years later, it's always going to be a thrill. It will always make me excited to film the Monon. I don't care how many times I see it, don't care where it is. Every time I see that engine, I'm going to smile. And it was no different in late December 2025 as we chase it up R.J. Corman's West Virginia line. So without further ado, let's get going and let's chase this thing. Here is CSX's Monon Heritage Unit in coal service in West Virginia. My friend Colton and I filmed this on December 29th, 2025, and the engine had been sitting on number 1 track in Thurman since I think Christmas Eve. Maybe even before. Either way, it was a while and R.J. Corman had to bring their power down to go get their train. Usually Corman gets going around 8:30 in the morning or so, but it was after 9 and still not a sight of him. With nothing on the main either, we headed back up the line to see what was up. We found that Corman power on the way down to Thurman and got him going over Dunlop Creek as what we call light power or a light engine move, railroad slang for just engines and no cars. Upon our arrival in Thurman about 8 a.m. or so, we both went to the station platform and took pictures of the heritage unit. While we were doing that, we both reached the same conclusion. It don't sound like this thing's running. When the R.J. Corman crew that would be in the CSX engines got to Thurman, they must have started it while everyone waited for that C-209 with their geometric boxcar we saw in the last episode. Once the main line train was out of the way, it was showtime on R.J. Corman.
Access next train, dispatch to Jacqueline. Dispatch to Richmond, 4949, dispatch Yeah, taking out of Thurman. Well, Thurman back on train west, and holler at you then. Take dispatch, you're going to get 49, 49. Alright, permission, your work here. Jason, can you send signal? blaring on me.
Looks like you got a medium clear. Over.
Alright, medium clear. Here we go. This is 305.
Our first stop is the first crossing of Thurmond Road just outside of the town of Thurmond. And you'll notice in the train there are two cars here that don't look like the rest. They say CSXT on the side, but they don't have any company paint on them. Why? Because those cars are technically owned by CSX, but they're new to the roster. They haven't had a chance to be put through a company paint booth, just patched to denote their new owner and sent back into coal service. I honestly thought there'd be more of those on this train, but that's just the luck of the draw sometimes. While they're not in company paint, it will be a little bit of a change of pace, but I think it's interesting. It shows an investment in coal service at a time when most people probably have been for the last several years thinking that coal service was on its way out. Yet here's a modern Class 1 railroad buying new equipment to meet demand. Pretty cool. We'll move ahead now to Mount Hope, and as the train finishes blowing for the Main Street crossing, I want to talk a little bit about why this shot honestly brought me back to the very basics of why I love railroading before it gets here. Those SD-70Ms that RJ Corman has weigh 407,000 pounds each. Combine that with the CSX power weighing about 432,000 pounds each, plus the 110 cars in between, and you've got an experience as the ground shakes and the cars rattle their way along the line. There is nothing like mountain railroading, folks. There's nothing like coal railroading. And I don't care if it's empties or loads. It will never, never, never cease to thrill me. Never. I also was able to catch Monon out on the C&O main line. This is January 5th, 2026, and it's my first catch of the year, and what a catch it was. This is C211, whole loads from Peach Creek Yard in Logan, West Virginia for Newport News, Virginia, with CSXT 1897, the Monon Heritage Unit, showing the way as she moves east through the New River Gorge. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed our program and would like to watch past episodes, I invite you to do so on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can just look us up on New River Network. You can also watch us on WatchNRN.com and Roku. Again, just look up New River Network. And if you're in Fayette County, you can get us on cable. Channel 4 in the Plateau, Channel 17 down in the Valley. So, for the New River Network, I'm Lucas Perry. I'm not going to give it any time. It's train time.